taking us and check it out now. Y'all finally got all the answers y'all need, okay? Y'all could stop asking when niggas are gonna slide, okay? It looked like the sliding was happening. And that's why there's a new indictment that's coming down from the feds that got 5 O Block members locked up. You see, this is a thing, man. You can't say niggas should slide and then shocked when niggas slide and get locked up. Everything comes with consequences. Anyways, if you guys don't know, the feds swooped into Chicago and locked up 5 members of what they're calling a O Block gang, okay? Now, in Chirac, if you don't know, usually murder is seen like jaywalking. Pretty much the cops don't give 2 craps, okay? That you could shoot somebody in front of the cop probably won't make an arrest, okay? They don't want to do paperwork. They don't want to do nothing called justice or police work, all right? However, the feds had to get involved to solve the murder of a deceased rapper named FBG Duck, okay? Now, I got the whole indictment, and I'll tell you the people who were indicted with his murder. And by the way, they also put a racketeering a racketeering charge into it, which if you know anything about racketeering charges from me covering, other rappers who have caught it, when you catch that federally, it means you have been conspiring in a criminal organization to break the goddamn law. Now, the people who were locked up, again, I'm sorry to tell you, some of these nicknames, it's tough, okay? C-Murder, okay? That's the first guy who got indicted. His real name is Charles Liggins. Somebody else, his just known as Kenny, okay, or Kenny Mac, okay? Somebody named Tate Carlos Orford, or some people just call him Los. Somebody else called C-Thing, okay? And his real name is Christopher Thomas, and also Marcus Smart, also known as Muwop. Now, you might know Muwop from, him hanging around Vaughn a lot. Also, him now rolling with Dirk. He's been at a lot of Dirk shows. He's been performing. He's actually been the person a lot of people thought was going to be next up in the O Block, saga of having, great rappers come out of that region. But he's now charged with the murder of FBG Duck. They're all charged with murder in aid of racketeering and federal firearms violations and assaults in aid of racketeering. Now, let me tell y'all why this is very important. Number one, the feds coming in and make this arrest basically tells us what we all know. Local Chicago police are lost, okay? They don't know what to do with crime, and they don't care nothing about solving murder and making arrests. Now, the good question that you probably should be thinking is, why did the feds get involved with this? Now, I get it. We see racketeering, but let's think about what racketeering usually is. Racketeering is a charge that was really drummed up to really, take down criminal organizations that were doing in a really slick way, using money, power, and influence to cause violence and either sell drugs in many communities that you could never tie the guy at the top to the guy actually doing the real shit on the ground. Okay, so it was basically to take down the whole organization. Now, one of the things a lot of times that racketeering is predicated on is money. Now, no disrespect to the dudes in O Block, but most of these niggas is broke. So the racketeering charge is a little bit, it's a little bit iffy, right? Again, they're calling them the Chicago O Block gang. I think these niggas actually claim either gangster disciples or what's the other one called? What's BD? Blood disciples? I don't even know what that is, man. Okay, anyway, BDs or GDs, okay? Basically, what I'm saying, the feds already labeling them as an incorrect gang, but they're using this racketeering charge to basically take them down. We haven't seen this in a while. We've heard about, quote unquote, the feds raiding O Block in many, previous times, but it appears the feds are actually using their power and resources and some of these charges that they got in their back pocket to actually take these dudes down in Chicago. Now, keep in mind, why are the feds involved? Because what Chicago has been, it's been a safe haven for criminals because they know local police ain't gonna do nothing. Now, keep in mind, when a crime is federal, a lot of times it means that multiple crimes or said crime involve things that go interstate. For example, if you got a stolen gun in one state, you drove it to another state, then killed somebody, basically you pretty much have charges really pending in both states. Also, you have broke a federal law pretty much transporting a illegal weapon into another state. So that's when the feds usually come in, right? So if you're just going around doing shootings in all type of cities and all type of states, feds usually come in. That's not usually local police, okay? They have way more reach, this and third, right? Now, everything they're saying, at least in this initial indictment that we could read, and I read through the whole thing, it was pretty short, which means there's a lot of stuff that's not unsealed yet. They haven't really told us all the info why they know that these guys kill FBG Duck, but they're basically saying pretty much everything happened in Illinois. So they're not really saying other things happen out of state, which again, I'm going to ask the question. Why are the feds involved? Okay. Now, is it because of the magnitude of the case and maybe it's because of the rapper's name, FBG Duck? Could be. But still, we've seen in other situations where local police handle even the murder of high-profile people. Why are the feds involved? Now, again, I'm saying that this quote-unquote O-Block gang, in whatever crime, and that's why, a lot of the Chicago, people who end up doing crime, they don't get on, the federal radar is because they're just killing people. And unfortunately, in the United States, if you're not killing people for money or there isn't a lot of money on the line or you're not running some, underground drug trade or whatever the case is and generating a lot of money and then committing violence like, robberies or shootouts or killings, the government just kind of looks at it and says, we don't care about niggas dying. What the hell? So it's interesting that the feds have picked up this case because the feds, I don't think they could say this O-Block gang was, they put in these loose things in there saying that obviously there's some firearms violations that are federal, which again could mean somebody got a stolen gun or got an illegal gun from out of state. We haven't heard that yet, okay? But we also have to think about not only that, we got to think about the violation of how structured really were they, Again, this seems like, just retaliatory, killings and shootings. And when I see a RICO charge actually slapped on top of that, it's hard for me to say that, hey, there's some real structure here. Like even when, most famously recently, 6ix9ine's gang got the RICO charge, cops or the feds actually had to prove in court, hey, they had a structure. They had this person being ranked this. They had people who they would have to call to for permission. Even if it was on some nigga shit, it was still structured. I don't know if this quote-unquote Chicago O-Block gang, as they're calling it, is that structured. I don't know about the money that they were bringing in because of the illegal gang activity. And I know some of y'all might be like, well, that helps promote the music. I don't know if you could necessarily say that source of funds is illegal. So it'd be interesting to see how that gets kind of tied to it. It's just really interesting and eerie that the feds are really involved, if you ask me. And this racketeering charge, it's really a wake-up call for everybody in Chicago. Yo, the feds will pick and choose at times when they want to swoop in and they're trying to send a message. Cut out all the fuckery and coonery y'all are doing because the days of just catching a body, rapping about it, joking about it, basically having your other homies just gloat about killings and murders. And by the way, FBG Duck was shot in broad daylight. All these brazen acts of violence, maybe it is going to come to an end because when police could just slap these racketeering charges on people, you will see what we see in New York. You see what happens in New York? As soon as a street gang starts to move around a little bit and they start having violence that seems connected to the gang and it's keep escalating, they lock up everybody involved. Nigga, you had a blue rag on, you're going down all with all the woos and all the crips, okay? You had a red rag on, you're going down with all the apes and all the bloods, whatever the case is, right? So it is what it is. But it's interesting that Muwop got caught up in this. And I'm going to say, man, we got to start talking about accountability. Truth be told, we got to start talking about accountability. Because, a lot of people got at me and say, it's people like you that made, people in Chicago, with your war in Chirac encourage people to die. Well, I'm going to be honest. If I don't want to spell this out for y'all, but think about it. Dirk is rapping about essentially what's going on with Duck. He had songs subliminally dissing Duck, right? He had a song called Should've Ducked, right? The guy who's rolling around with Dirk allegedly got locked up for killing Duck. And you get to realize these are some deep-seated beefs, which, again, I can't just tell people, oh, just stop and give it up. There's deaths on both sides. Clearly, you know what I mean? When people are talking about, yo, slide for this, slide for that, just remember what comes with it. It comes with indictments. It comes with jail time. It comes with life in prison, okay? Unfortunately, that's the case. However, we're going to see how this situation plays out. Duck's mom has been very vocal in actually saying, yo, I'm glad that this happens because I don't want these guys to get no death sentences, nothing. I want them to rot in jail and suffer, which again goes to show the pain and hurt that she's felt because, her son was a potential way to get her out of situations. And obviously her son, like, come on, she loves her son. And he was gunned down, okay? Not saying FBG Duck was no angel, but here's the thing. The feds ain't playing no mo, okay? We got to get to giving accountability to actually the people who are pulling the triggers, who are making these choices to say, I'm going to try to kill you, and hey, that might result in somebody trying to kill them or the feds locking them up. I'm sorry to say, man. What do you guys think about this whole thing? I think it was an interesting, development and turn with this whole situation. I didn't think that the police would care about a rapper's death, but the feds came in. Wow. What do you think about that? Get in the comments. But you guys like and subscribe to Akademiks. Come on.